Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ritso and thank you so much for coming back to watch my video. If you're new here, thank you for coming, and I hope you stay and subscribe. And if you're old here, thank you for coming back. So this video is going to be about my experience as a black woman living in Hungary. Now, it's not to disrespect anyone, it's not to make anyone feel uncomfortable, and it's not to make it seem like all my experiences in Hungary have been really terrible. Please, let's take this video in like a light and positive light. This is just my own experience, and it's not at all to make any Hungarian person watching this feel like we think only bad things about Hungary as black people. So please keep it respectful in the comment section, just in case you want to comment. And if there's anything I'm saying that I maybe misunderstood, or you are a Hungarian person and part of the culture and you want to kind of educate us, please do in the comment section. If there's anything you agree with or can relate with, or it's funny, or experiences, I would love you to make the comment section your playground to let's just make this fun and have fun in the comment section, okay? Yes. I am Nigerian and I have been in Hungary for 10 years. Yes, 10 years. I lived in Debrecen, is a different city, 2 hours 30 minutes from Budapest, for 5 years, and I have lived in Budapest for 5 years. So I feel like I have earned the right to say that I have a couple of experiences that you might want to hear about, okay? So these are just things that personally, and from talking to my friends and from conversation with my black friends and everything, I feel like you should expect as a black person, or if you look like me, coming into Hungary, especially if you're coming from Africa. I have notes, I don't want to miss out anything, and I don't want to go out of topic, okay? So the first thing you should look forward to seeing or experiencing is the language barrier. Hungarian language is the official language of the Hungarian people. Hungarian. There are people who speak English in Budapest and some parts of Hungary. There are people who speak English. There are places where you walk in and you will definitely find people who speak English. And I noticed that recently, or in the past few years, that there has been efforts to have at least one person that speaks English, especially in Budapest, where you have a lot of tourists coming in and internationals coming in, so that people can be able to communicate. They are making that effort. But for the most part, the language you're going to encounter in your everyday life is Hungarian. It is not the easiest language to learn, by the way. I have tried it and I'm still trying it. But I regret not learning the Hungarian language when I arrived here, because your life is going to be so much more easier if you know how to speak the language. It's going to be easier to navigate your daily life if you know how to speak and you understand the language. It's going to be easier to get jobs if you know how to speak the language. You're going to have a more positive experience and reaction from people on your day-to-day interaction with people if you know how to speak the language, which makes sense. I think people get so happy and excited if they see foreigners, like especially black people, like making the effort to learn the language. It just makes life a lot easier. So I would say that if you're coming here and you intend to stay here for a while, please keep your mind open. Try to learn the language, try to learn a few phrases that you can use in your everyday life, and make the effort when you meet with locals to speak in the language. I read somewhere, of course, that one of the ways to show respect to your culture is by learning, or at least attempting to learn the language and learn the culture. So that's one thing that I would say, keep in mind when you're arriving here, okay? Another thing you're going to experience is a lot of culture, a big cultural difference. Like I said, especially for those of us black people who came here from Africa, the cultural difference and the cultural shock will be immense compared to other black people who have moved here from Europe or from other parts of Europe or from America or the rest. Maybe they're used to certain ways of life there, but for us coming from Africa, it is a big change for us. You're going to see a lot of kissing on the road. You're going to see, and I know some people who are not Africans will be like, kissing, what's wrong with kissing? Where we come from, you don't just walk around kissing on the road. Literally, when two people are kissing, two lovers are kissing, even if they are married, some people literally think that is basically porn on the road. You're going to see a lot of public display of affection between friends, between father and daughter, mother and daughter, father and son. You're going to see a lot of that. Even when you meet strangers and they introduce you to someone, you're going to have the on the cheeks and all that. So you're going to see a lot of expression of love. It's part of the culture, it's their culture, that's how it just works here. Another part of the culture you're going to probably get a lot of shock out of is the difference in food and spices. For the most part, you are going to see a lot of bread. You will eat bread and you will be so tired of bread. Pastry everywhere. Pastry is everywhere. So many different types of bread and so many different types of cakes and so many different types of rolls and croissant that is laced with chocolate or vanilla or cheese. You're going to see a lot of the cheese. Every time anything is brought to you or you want to buy something, you're probably going to have to be asking them what is in it because you will play yourself. The bread. What is it with the bread? I think it's a European thing, but in Hungary I feel like it's a lot. It's eaten in breakfast, lunch and dinner. My uncle, God rest his soul, when he came to Hungary last year for his treatment, when I came to the hospital one day and he was like, Ritso, can I ask you a question? What is the problem with the bread? Like, what is it with the bread? He begged the nurses that please, he doesn't mind, they shouldn't bring bread to him. He was like, he's sick of all the bread. You're going to eat a lot of bread, and for the most part, some of the bread are very, very good. So you have to practice a lot of self-control so you don't eat too much or you're going to get fat and round and flappy because of all the pastries and all the bread. I think the African cuisine there's a lot of meat in our food. So here you're also going to see a lot of meat, but there's one meat that you're going to see a lot that would actually blow your mind is pork. It is one of the cheapest ones compared to say chicken. There is going to be a lot of meat, and I loved meat before I arrived Hungary. Now I can't stand meat. I would do fish, but like meat actually gets to me because I have eaten a lot of it. It's everywhere. It's sausage, it's salami, it's this, it's that, it's bacon, it's meat. Some of the food can be very salty as compared to our food back home, and it is not as spicy as we are used to in a lot of the parts of Africa. So get used to that. Like expect that. Expect a lot of potatoes, not sweet potato, the one where we call Irish potato in Nigeria. Expect a lot of it. It's a big part of the Hungarian cuisine. Potatoes, pork, pork and paprika, the Hungarian paprika. Hungarians do not mess with the paprika. They are very proud of that, so you better respect paprika when you arrive here, because it was a Hungarian that discovered that there is vitamin C in paprika. In Nigeria, we call it tatashe. So yeah, bell pepper. Yeah, the bell pepper, the one you call the bell pepper. Expect a lot of it. There are different types of the paprikas. The ones that you can eat fresh and the ones that you can actually use to make food, the sweet ones and all that. It comes in different ways. So expect to see a lot of that when you go to restaurants and when you're out with people, when you visit people's houses. Expect to see like a platter of meat and different kinds of paprikas, and potatoes is almost in everything. So when you come here, there are so many things that you experience, whether for good or bad, that would kind of remind you of your blackness. It will remind you that you are so different. One of them is the staring. There is a lot of staring. I know that when you are different, people will stare. If a Caucasian person goes to Africa, for example, people will stare, because when you walk into your room and you're the only one that looks like what you look like, people will definitely stare at you. But the staring here is a bit different. When they stare at you and you stare back, they do not look away. Yes, you get sometimes you get like, you actually feel like you are in a stare down competition. They do not look away. So don't get too offended. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, or maybe here it's not that rude to stare at people, but where we come from, of course, we know that it's rude. It's almost like, what are you looking at and all that. But here it's not they don't think of it like that, and they just stare. Staring is like a thing. I don't even think that they realize that they're doing it. But it's gonna make you start to think that it's because of how you look that they're staring. So just expect to see a lot of people staring at you. Sometimes people will interject with this with the compliment and go like, oh, you are so beautiful, oh, I love your hair, or oh my god, does your hair look naturally like this, or you are so brown, or something like that. Sometimes you will get that, but sometimes it's just the complete stare down that you're going to get. Expect to have some unique compliments coming at you. Like, the compliments are not the normal nice or something like that. It's the normal, like, oh, they will talk about you in terms of your skin first, like, oh, your skin is so brown, or your skin is so beautiful. And for them it's a compliment, they mean well, but for you it's almost like, oh, I just remember that, you know, I look like this. So it's going to be one of those things that will constantly kind of remind you every day when you're walking around that you look the way that you look. Being followed around in the grocery store. You will be followed around as a black person, as a black woman, as a black man in the grocery store or in the stores a lot by the security people. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know what happened. I don't know why that happens, because I have never heard that a black person went into a store and stole something. Maybe some people have heard, but I haven't. None of my friends have. Maybe if you know anyone or if you've heard of it, maybe tell me or explain to us why that happens. But the minute you walk into the store, you get the following around. They will leave every other person that is there in the store and follow just you, because you are now the main problem inside that store. You could steal a gun because you are black, okay? No, I'm just joking, but I'm just saying, like, that's how it feels sometimes, because sometimes they hide and try to pretend like they're not actually following you around, but we know you're following us around. So stop being funny, just follow me around and get it over and done with. In the beginning I used to be so uncomfortable, but I got used to it, and sometimes I have fun with it. I just keep going around the store until we both are tired, since we all want to be stupid. Until we are all tired, and then you can stop. Okay, so yeah, expect that when you get into a store or you get into a place, you're either going to be stared at, or if you're trying to buy something, you're either going to be followed around a lot more than somebody else that walks into a certain place. Expect some ignorant people who believe that as long as you are black, you are here at the mercy of the Hungarian government, you are being fed by the Hungarian government, your existence is dependent on the Hungarian government. Expect some people who actually believe that. Now, I think that belief comes from maybe a lot more refugees coming in from Africa some years ago and all that, and depending on like welfare here and everything. So a lot of people, especially people in like smaller towns who are not like used to seeing a lot of foreigners, or do not kind of move around foreigners, or people even in Budapest here, some people who are not exactly willing to learn or know anything about foreigners or black people, they assume that you are the poorest person there and you are here at the mercy. And that's why sometimes you'll be walking on the street and someone that you might look at and be like, oh, let me give this person something, is the person that will look at you up and down and be like, you are lesser than them. You understand? Like, so expect sometimes to have people who are ignorant treat you a certain way, and that's totally not okay. But find a way to navigate through that, because you can't just react anyhow. As a black person, when you come here, don't just go about reacting to things, every single thing that comes at you. Do not just go about, I'm telling you, do not do it. Hungarians know how to mind their business. The only time Hungarian person is not minding his or her business is if you are their neighbor and you are making noise. See, because if someone is being racist to you on the road, or is being just plain ignorant, and you think that you want to react immediately and the person attacks you, I'm sorry, but for the most part, people are going to just sit and watch until that thing is done. And sometimes even when the police come, some people will act as if they were not there when it happened. They will just look away. Hungarians will mind their business. It will shock you. It's not like where we come from. Everybody minds their business here. Cosmetics and hair products. As a black woman, this one is for my sisters who are coming to Hungary. I don't care where you're coming from as a black woman, whether you were living in Europe, America, UK, wherever. When you come to Hungary, just know, keep it at the back of your mind that the ratio of black people to white people here is very, very little. black people are a lot, we're still not enough for shops to be stocking up on like complexion products that people that look like me can use. You will not walk into DM or Rossmann and pick up Maybelline in your shade, concealer, foundation. No, you will not walk in and pick up L'Oreal. So if you know what is good for you, come with the amount that can serve you for the time you want to be here, or the amount that will serve you until you figure out a way to get some from or order it or ship it. You will have to do a lot of shipping and ordering online when it comes to your complexion products. There is MAC and there is NYX, there's Bobbi Brown, and there's Smashbox a little bit here and there in like Douglas and stuff, but those are the only ones. So you don't have those large options like you have, today I want to do Lancome, I want to do Estee Lauder, I want to do Maybelline, I want to try. No, we don't have that option at all. Hair products. Come with your hair products. Do yourself a favor. Get your hair products from Nigeria or from Tanzania or from Ghana or from America or from UK, wherever it is you're coming as a black woman. Have your hair product. You can't just walk into a store here and think, today I want to go and pick up Main Choice, or today I want to go and pick up that. You will see Cantu here and there. Lately, I've been seeing in the past year or two, we've been seeing Cantu products here and there, but that's about it. You can't just walk into any store and pick up hair products for your own kind, for our own kind of hair. Now, when you go to the Pakistani store, for example, you will see like relaxers, but for the most part, like olive oil products are always popular in the Pakistani store and stuff. But that's it. The large options that people with Afro hair have, you don't see it. Don't expect to wake up in the morning and think you're going to go and meet somebody in the salon or like a shop or hair salon and say, I want to make my hair today. No, they don't know how to work your hair. As long as even if your hair is relaxed, there's still a lot of the hairstylists here are still scared to touch your hair. So you're not going to find a lot of that. A lot of us have had to learn how to wash our hair, detangle the hair, take care of the hair. So people have learned how to braid, make wigs, and all those things. You're going to have to find a way around it, but you're not going to see a lot of options when it comes to that. What is it like dating in Hungary? I don't know. Actually, I have some experience dating in Hungary as a black woman. It has not been all positive, but it has not been all negative, and I'll explain why. Now, let me tell you something about being a black woman. There is always this thing around being how we look in the minds of foreigners that maybe they saw in movies, or maybe they've just never been around with a black girl, so they want to know what it is to be with a black girl. So you're going to meet a lot of guys who are coming at you because they want to just check on their list that they've been with a black girl. And sometimes they're going to meet a lot of girls who and I think that this is, I don't know, for some people, of course, it's just the love. They just love black people. They love the culture, blah, blah. But some of them is like an experiment for them to be with a black person in general. There are girls who have had conversation, Hungarian girls who have had conversation with their black, and all they can talk about is how big they think the black guys, stuff machine is, or all they can talk about is how cute mixed babies are. So it's like they're more crazy about how enjoying the sex with the black man or the kids, how their kids are going to look, than actually the person. And when I've gone on dates with like Caucasian guys, and mostly it's been Hungarian men, I will have them say this thing. I don't know if they mean it that way, but they will always say things like, oh my God, I've never been with a black girl before. I've never been with a black girl before. This is quite, I don't feel like that is something that should be a big topic during our dates. And it just puts me off and makes me feel as if you are more excited about my blackness than about me. You are not, let me just say this, as a black woman in Hungary, and I've said this a lot with I've had this conversation with a lot of the black girls, it's not about how you look or whatever it is, but you are not the default pick. Does that make sense? You're not the default pick when it comes to even black men in Hungary. For me, I feel like as a black woman, when it comes to dating in Hungary, or according to my experience and with other friends of mine, I feel like you are almost like an acquired taste. Does that make sense? It's like the black men are thinking they want to be with the white women, and not all black men. There are black men here who would be with just anyone depending on how they feel about the person. It's not about race, but there are a lot of them, let's be honest, who come here and insist on only being with white girls for their own personal reasons. So you are there, your own kind is not thinking that you are exotic enough for them. You, on the other hand, for the Caucasian guys or for the Hungarian guy, you might either be too much for them because they're thinking, I've never done this, I've never been with a black woman, the culture is different, everything, the way we behave, of course, is totally different from like an average Hungarian woman and all that, because of our difference in experience and life experience and where we're coming from. Or you're also going to meet guys who are with you or who are coming at you just because of the fetish or the fantasy in their head that they've built about being with a black woman. And I think that can be very difficult to navigate. But for the most part, you're definitely going to meet people, and if you're open-minded, I think it's just for you to kind of find a way to navigate and sieve through these weirdos or different weirdos that you're going to meet online or however it is you're doing. Expect to get a lot of messages that are so explicit in your DMs as a black woman, and it will make you cringe. Like, and I'm saying this from like European men, not from black men. This is from European men. Expect to see a lot of cringe-worthy DMs from men in Hungary. Like here, I've had people send me the picture of their penis and like, is it good enough? Is this as good as a black man's? Like, literally, like, it's crazy, it's mind-blowing. Messages that I'm pretty sure they would not send to me if I was white. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So expect those kind of sexual advances that comes at you that is so forward and so offensive sometimes in your DMs and all that. I think that this is all that I have to say about like being in Hungary as a black woman or as a black person and all that. So if I missed anything, please let me know in the comment section. If you're a black woman who has been in Hungary or you're living in Europe, I would love to hear your own experiences where you live and how similar or different it is in Hungary or compared to the place where you live and all that. I would love to know what it looks like for you there, or what it is like living there. And if you're living in Hungary and you come across this video, yes, I would like to know if I made some points that that resonates with you, or if I haven't, I would like to know that. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.